Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series. My name is Jody Maley, and I've been an entrepreneur and business owner for over 27 years now. Thanks for joining the podcast, and I can't wait to share with you tips and ideas on how to grow your heart-centered entrepreneur business. As a personality dimensions coach, I help entrepreneurs discover who they are at their core so they can have real and authentic sales conversations with their ideal clients. We all started or joined a business so that we can make an income on our terms. Whether you're just starting out in your entrepreneur journey or have been in sales for a while, the key to any business is sales and nurturing the sales relationship. So I invite you to sit back, relax, maybe even have your favorite drink and take some notes as we have fun delving in to learn more from the top 1% to 2% income earners who are making such a difference and impact for themselves and their beautiful teams. Their tips and ideas will uplift and inspire you in a heart-centered, authentic way to help lift you up, move you forwards towards your perfect dream and goal. So stay tuned to the end of each podcast as I will share a little gift from me that I know will get you inspired in your beautiful business. Hey, this is Jody Maley here with the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series. And today I have a wonderful guest with me, Sarah Lovely. And just like her name, she is that lovely. And Sarah and I got to know each other a few months ago. We've been fast friends, so I'll tell you a little bit about how we got to know each other and that in a minute. But I would love Sarah to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, kids, family, all that good stuff.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Jody. I love this. And yes, we became fast and furious friends, super quick click. And so I'm honored to be here and really grateful that you invited me to be a part of this project. And it's just, I'm really, really excited for you and I'm excited to be here. So like Jody said, my name is Sarah Lovely and I live in North Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm in Canada. So I'm 55. I am a mom of 3. My oldest just turned 30 a couple days ago, which still sounds not really possible to have a 30-year-old child. And then my middle baby is about to turn 21. He's in university across the country in Nova Scotia. And my beautiful daughter, my only girl, Claire, is 17. She's in grade 12. And so I have 3 kids. I have an amazing husband. His name is Robin. He is my 3rd husband. So the name Lovely, I wasn't born with it. I earned it. I earned that name.
I like that.
Yeah, I am my second husband, who is a dear, dear friend of mine. I call him my husband. His name is Doug Lovely, and he and I were together for a long, long time, and we had our last 2 kids together. An interesting fact about us: my husband and my husband are besties. They actually go to movies together and Costco shop together. And so it's, it didn't start out that way. We've come full circle. And so we're just really, really lucky to be, have the community that we have within our family. So and I'm a retired personal trainer, retired health coach. I've been in network marketing for many, 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 many years, 12 years full-time and a bunch of years before that. Right. So I started as a single mom when my now 30-year-old was just a toddler on my lap. I saw it as a way to stay home with him.
Right.
And that was 26 years ago.
Yeah, so I think that was part of our similar journey. I've been in direct sales and network marketing probably for over 27 years. I come and go with stuff because there's always life things that happen in between. But I think it's similar. I started when I was with my first husband, and there was a belief system that he didn't instill it in me, but I had tried a few other things, like, actually Avon. I did the knock on the door, hello. And then I sold some catalog type of stuff. And then my first company that I was actually with that had a home party plan. And I just remember going to it and my ex-husband being like, oh, you're going to quit. You're just going to quit like everything else. He was a real champion. And when I went to the party and I had a successful party, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm about 8 hours north of you. So Sarah's down on Vancouver coast and I'm the middle of BC, Canada here. And so I didn't have like a leadership support or anything. So I didn't know what I was doing. I just had their book, their training book. That's what I took with me to my first show. And then when I got home, I think it was about a $500 party and about 3 people who booked a party from it. And I just remember coming home and to my ex-husband, he was like, oh, so how'd that go? And I'm like, I quit. And he's like, aha, I told you you would. And I mean, I quit everything else I'm doing. Like I made my first commission like of $125. I had like tripled my business at that one party. And I'm like, I'm hooked. I love this. And so I think for women, direct sales is really one of the number one ways. And later, when we divorced, that income is what kept me and my family fed and watered, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so for me, I started taking it seriously 12 years ago, for real, all in, full time. I am going to become a professional. The years before that were more about my belief building in the industry, my love for the community, and my addiction to the personal development piece that comes along with this business. I didn't actually break even, right? And I flipped around and I quit a lot. And, I really wasn't coachable, really wasn't coachable. I was not consistent. I did everything wrong, except for I knew without a shadow of a doubt that it was a vehicle to get me to where I wanted to go. But it wasn't until 12 years ago that I started to actually reap the benefits of consistency, coachability, learning new skills, failing forward, showing up, all those things. So when I put those into play 12 years ago, things then it became an income, and then it became a life-changing industry for me. Before that, it was personal development and community.
yeah. And it's kind of funny because one of my other interviews has actually, she's in the same company as you. And I think she's a sideline of you, one of my best friends, Christine Sales.
Yeah.
And she had a statistic and I'm like, I love it. 85%. So I guess it was some kind of maybe the Gallup poll. I'm not quite 100% sure where her statistic came from, but she's a nerd, so I believe her. And the statistic is that women who are making more than $100,000, so $100,000 income earners, so that's about $8,500 a month. They are doing 85% of it are doing it through direct sales.
Wow.
And I was like, really? And she goes, yeah. So that means the other 15% of women who are, making over that 6-figure income bracket are probably like a lawyer, doctor, corporate type jobs. And I thought, this is such a great community to know that that's available to women to make a difference in a family. And when I was young, we always called it apron money. And I was talking to one of my clients the other day and she's like, apron money? I've never heard of that before. I like it. And I'm like, well, yeah, because mom and dad always had maybe a regular job, or dad was usually the supporter of the family. And then moms would have, the Tupperware and the Avon and those little side gigs that they would call apron money. But I believe now there's this huge shift in our society that apron money is turning into more.
Otherwise known as getaway money.
That's right.
For those of you wondering. Yeah. Well, you know what? For me, it was my survival money when I started full-time 12 years ago, because I found myself divorced for a second time, single mom again, this time with 3 instead of 1. And my first time ever owning a home and having a mortgage in a neighborhood that is quite a sought after neighborhood. And I remember thinking that although I was going to have spousal support for quite some time and child support for a long time, I remember knowing for sure that when it ended, that being a personal trainer and a health coach wasn't going to keep me in the home and the neighborhood that I wanted to be in.
Right.
And so I decided, and that's key, right? Making a decision. I remember clearly friends saying to me, take this time to heal, take this time to get to know yourself, take this time to rest and relax. And I remember thinking, nope, I don't have time for that, because creating the kind of income that I want is not going to happen overnight. And that money is going to run out. Even though I knew I had probably around 8 years where I would have that, because my husband, generous and amazing, and I'm lucky ex-wife that never had to wonder, right? Spousal and child, that's not going to go on forever. And so I remember thinking, that's good advice, and they're probably right. But deep down, I knew I had to hit it hard at that time, and that I could rest and recover and get to know myself along the way or later, but that I had to take this seriously. And that was a moment in time that I made that decision to get to know this industry and to start to make money. And I always tell my team and people that I'm talking to, truly, as cliche as it sounds, this starts with making a decision. The fact that I can remember the moment in time that I made that decision means it was a powerful decision. Mm-hmm. And if you are listening right now and you're like, oh, I don't know if I've made a decision, or I don't remember when I did, that's okay. You can do that right now. Right now, you can make that decision or recommit to the decision, right? And make it a memorable moment. And I do teach this too, which is get it on paper. I didn't happen to write that on paper. It was like, oh, I'll never forget it. And I actually had sworn off network marketing prior to that. I'd sworn it off from another perceived failure. Right. And so I was never going to do it again. But there I was now, suddenly divorced with kids and all that stuff I mentioned. And I knew deep down that it was the solution if I was willing to make the decision.
Yeah. And I love that. Most people don't realize that, well, I've been teaching personality training for 19 years now. I have to think how our youngest is 19. So yeah, I was pregnant with him. So 20 years now. And there's part of my training that I do teach people, and it's beautiful that you kind of brought us into that, is that there are pivotal moments in each of our lives that we specifically remember, how we felt, where we were at, and how we can bring those feelings and emotions back into us. And I don't know if you ever watch on YouTube, Huberman. You'll have to check out some of his stuff. But he's a scientist, dude. He's really, really smart, but he brings the science behind all of our thoughts and feelings and stuff. And he's a professor down in one of the universities in the States. And he calls it the Huberman Lab. But check it out on YouTube, you guys, because he's awesome and amazing. And what he talks about is that, and I loved his one episode, and I always send it to all my new clients. I'm like, listen to this. Listen to this episode in particular, because he talks about how we relate to gratitude. And most of us have learned over the years, especially with self-work and self-improvement and self-development, of gratitude. And I'm not really the greatest at writing it down. Like I did for a few years, like daily in my journal, wrote it down. But I always kind of thought, feels like there's something missing. And so what this dude was talking about, and it totally related to me, was just that, where he said gratitude actually works the best when you're in receiving mode. So get this into your heads here. And I'm thinking, receiving mode, how do you do that? And so he said, gratitude is actually best when I think of Sarah and I think, oh, she's such a lovely person, and something of Sarah where maybe I helped her or something connected, and Sarah reaches back to me, and Sarah has actually done this. That's why I'm picking on her. But Sarah has actually messaged me back after I think the first couple of times we met, and she's like, I love talking to you. Like, you're a breath of fresh air. Like, whatever you did that day was, I made Sarah smile. And then Sarah told me I made her smile. Okay. That's the feeling of gratitude that you want to be receiving of. When someone else, you've touched their life in a way that they are grateful for being in your space. And so he said, if you get that feeling of gratitude versus writing it down all day, because writing it down all day is an ego gratitude. However, putting into this perspective of, oh, my friend Sarah, she messaged me and she was just so grateful for the great conversation that we had today, and I made a change in her life. And having that feeling, greatest gratitude.
It makes sense. I haven't heard
behind it.
Oh, this is what you're talking about, Jody, is, in my opinion, 100% accurate. I haven't heard this person's name before, but I got all that from Dr. Joe, Hal Elrod, Wallace D. Waddles, Napoleon Hill. It all comes to that. And what I just actually did last Sunday, a workshop on creating your Miracle Maven vision statement. And a portion of the workshop spoke to exactly what you're saying. And I'll give you another little quick tool here that can be used as well. So let's say you're listening and you're like, I don't have anybody sending me nice messages that I made them smile. Like, lucky Jody, she's got Sarah Lovely telling her that she's awesome, right? Like, our brains, if we're in a stuck place, we will feel like we don't, you'll just say, oh, I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that. And here's a ninja tip that I teach my team. And I just did this workshop, and this was just a piece of it, is that Jody's absolutely right. The language of the universe that the universe understands is gratitude. So it's like, if I speak gratitude, the universe understands the gratitude. It doesn't have to be that I'm saying, it actually doesn't work if I'm saying $1 million in my bank account, $1 million. If I could be visualizing that, I could be saying it, I could have sticky notes all over the place. It will not work if it doesn't come with the feeling like Jody just described, that warm, fuzzy feeling of, gosh, that Sarah Lovely made my day by telling me how much she appreciated me, right? That's a feeling that made Jody feel good. And so that, if she focuses on that, that is the language of the universe. And in turn, the universe is going to deliver all the gifts that you really want, including the $1 million in the bank account, if that's what you happen to want. It doesn't have to be that. So here's an even easier tip. Right. And Jody and I didn't plan to talk about this, by the way. This is not.
We're just going with the flow. Somebody is meant to hear this today.
Somebody is meant to hear this today, and it might be me. Now, here's another tip. If you're like, well, I don't have people loving on me, right? Like, and so, but you do. I know you do, but you might feel like you don't. So if you feel like you don't, then you don't. Here's something you can do. Think of a time in your life where you felt joy. Was it holding a newborn baby? Was it boarding a plane for a holiday with your new boyfriend and he had a suitcase full of lingerie? Was it walking into the house after school and your mom was baking bread and that smell? If I take it even a level, so those, you can use all those examples and visualize them. The universe will understand your language because that's gratitude.
Yeah.
If you're at a place in your life where I have nothing good, I have no good memories, because I actually have very few positive memories from the past for whatever reason. So I don't have a lot. I have a couple. You only need one, by the way. You only need one. So let's say you don't have those. Well, let's get it down to even more basics if you need to. Do you can you visualize walking into a coffee shop and smelling coffee, and you like that smell and you're like, oh, that is enough. If you meditate on that and pull that in and put that out, that is the language of the universe. The universe will start gifting you because that's what it wants to do. And it's understanding your language. And it doesn't have to be the mansion, the man, the body, the business, the bank account. It doesn't have to be that. It can start with that coffee shop smell, and I can't wait to get the first one in me, or it could be anything else. And the miracles will start to come. And then when they start to come, then you can use those and up it higher and higher and higher until you actually are believing your own vision and your own dream of what you want, which is the mansion or the body or the man or the $1 million. And then you can do that. But you get to start at this, right? And that's where I find personally I was stuck. And where a lot of people that I coach are stuck is in, well, yeah, gratitude, but like, how do you pull that with feeling and emotion and attach it to a visualization? And that's the trick to it.
That is,
I found the hat.
And so we were talking before we jumped on to this call and this podcast a little bit about where you're at now, and even when I met you just a few short months ago. And I'm like, Sarah, you don't realize it, but you're the loveliest statistic that we have in direct sales, and you didn't even know it. So but let's talk a little bit about that, because there's been some big changes, and having a mindset, the mindset is, I would say 80% of your business is the mindset. Like really, really it is. The 20% is the doing daily what you need to do to create results that you want. And people, I think, get so busy with trying this to, I'm going to reach out to this person, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to post this. And they get so busy in the stuff that doesn't actually make you income, instead of focusing in on that 20%. And I know when I talked to you a few months ago, this is where you were at, where you're like, I think you might have been into a few months, because I think we met March or April. And so you had been starting to implement this strategy already. But why don't you tell us about some of your results? They're amazing.
I actually remember saying to you, oh, I think I might be the wrong gal for your podcast, because I'm not all that great.
Right. Because I love interviewing women who are in the top 1% to 2% of their current companies.
And I was like, and so I was it's been an amazing like journey altogether. But, and I'll be real quick here, because I know we don't have a ton of time left, and this is a big pivot from what we were just talking about before. But yeah, so like I said, I've been here in this industry 12 years, and I've had some success for sure. Earned the car bonuses, earned some really good income, launched Hong Kong. Income was up, down, and that's normal. That's normal, up, down. But I really didn't have a grasp on it. Like my up, down, and up, down was seemingly to me not in my control. And now my up, down is, well, I can predict it, and I can
instead of being like this, you're up down as you are growing and more into leadership, your up down becomes like this.
It becomes like this, and also you expect it, predict it, and actually know exactly how to make it go back up. Versus up down and like never know if I'm going to be up or down. I don't know what to do. I'm just crossing my fingers. And I really believe what Jody said is, it's not just that this is about 80% about mindset. And I don't know what the percentage is, but I would have to agree with you, Jody. It's higher on the mindset side than the action side. However, it's not just mindset. Mindset is an umbrella word that I use all the time, but I would like to be specific and say it's in your faith and belief. It's in your belief. And how you get that belief is through that gratitude tip we just shared. So that gratitude tip, like that's a huge one, right? Grab onto it. But it's not just mindset, because mindset could be that forever I'm listening to podcasts that are uplifting and positive. It is about belief in yourself and what you are doing, and belief that it is coming no matter what happens day to day. You got to keep the faith and maintain the belief, and maintaining the belief is the super tricky part. And it's why most people quit. And if you don't quit, you will get there, because so many quit that there's lots of room for you if you don't quit. But maintaining that belief is the hardest part. And then, so let's say that that's 80%, like Jody said. And that's hard. That is not as easy as we're just saying here. It is a minute by minute thing for me on some days. And then the next part is action, or what I like to say, precise, certain action taken in a consistent and efficient way. Because we can just say action and then you're posting and you're showing up on Zooms and you're asking people, and that can feel like a lot of action. But unfortunately, I am here to tell you, I believe with every cell in my body that it has to be certain action done in efficient way. Ooh, both those words I don't like. Certain action, efficient action. And here's another word I don't like, consistent action. The only thing I'm really consistent at is being inconsistent. But I get right back to consistency. So you've got to have belief and faith, and you've got to have certain efficient action steps, whatever they are for you in your company, done consistently over a period of time, no matter what the outcome is along the way until you reach the goal. And that sounds super sexy, but it's really not. And it's really challenging. And the only difference between people who have success and people who don't have success are that the people that have success do that, and the people that don't quit before that happens. And I decided that I wasn't going to quit. And so I implemented, and I know there's not time right now, but I'm excited to do a training for you. But I implemented a certain set of action steps that covered belief and faith, no matter what, unshakable, no matter what. So there are actually action steps to your mindset. You cannot wing that stuff. You cannot wing that stuff. So I implemented certain steps to my mindset, and then I implemented certain steps to my desired outcome financial goal.
Right.
And I started to implement them. And what Jody and I were talking about before, that she so kindly, and I will always now remember this warm and fuzzy for me, is that she just said to me, you are a statistical dream come true because of how it went for you. And I was like, oh, I am. And I knew that, but the way Jody said it, I'm so grateful, because here's what happened. Aww. Super quickly. I started, yeah, thank you. Right. You guys always tell people when they make you feel good. They need to hear it. They need to put that in their little, I screenshot, and I have a file. In my phone. I should name it, gratitude love hits. Right? Where you save that stuff. But I implemented in February a new system for becoming a top recruiter. Wasn't recruiting quite enough in my company. My average was over an 18-year period of time. I went back and I looked at it, and I'm not a numbers person. I'm not an organized person. I'm not a tracker or a measure at all. If you could see the desk in front of me right now, I'm not organized. But I have a back office, and I tracked my numbers from 18 months. And my average was over 18 months, one new social marketer, one new business partner in our business a month. Now that's an average. I had multiple months, 3 in a row sometimes, was 0. And then I'd have 2 or 3, and then 0, and then 1. And it was out of my control, seemingly. I was like, oh, I hope I get one this month. Or, oh, why didn't I get any for 2 months? What's going on? And I couldn't really, I didn't feel in control. And so I took charge of my life. In February, I implemented a new system that I actually took a coach's advice and implemented it. I have tweaked it along the way to make it my own, but it came from a top woman in the industry who taught this system. And I implemented it in February. Nothing changed. In March, nothing changed. In April, did I write February, March, April? Yeah, I got that right. See? April. And around the beginning of April, nothing changed, meaning no new recruits, right? This was my outcome, my desired goal, and nothing was changing, but I was doing everything, literally. Mm-hmm. And about beginning of April, I had a little breakdown in front of my husband, and I said, it's not working. It's not working. And I'm starting to look stupid, because I told my whole team I was going to do this. And I said, just watch me and I'll train you and I'll help you. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I had kept this to myself, because I'm not achieving. Right. And I knew in that moment when I stood in my kitchen, I could feel the tears poking behind my cheekbones. And I was like all sweaty and frustrated. And I knew, and I could just hear this is, you got to keep going. This works. Consistency until no matter what, there is no other option. You keep going. You keep going. And in that moment, I thought, and guess what, Sarah? Just like the rest of your life, you're going to have a good story to share for the woman who needs to hear that it doesn't happen like that.
Right.
And sure enough, May, 5 recruits. June, 4 recruits. July, 2 recruits. August, 3 recruits. September, 4 recruits. Right. And so now we're into October. I won't give those numbers yet. We just received a note from the head of our company in Canada. And we didn't know this, but we are number 5 in all of Canada for 2022 in recruiting.
High five.
So if I had stopped when I felt those tears and the embarrassment and the shame of people watching me, I'd accidentally announced it to the world, wished I could have taken that back. If I had quit, for sure wouldn't be number 5. And here's where Jody pointed out to me was my driving force in that moment was there are going to be women that need to hear that no matter who you are, it takes about 3 months for this stuff to show itself. There is no mistake that May, June, July, August, September are that change. My average is now 4.5 a month because I averaged that out, right? And so there's no way that's accidental.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm teaching now.
And like I said, too, that 90 days, it does take, when I taught people, when I was a regional vice president with a company, and they're like, you're really good at what you do. Can you teach this? And I'm like, I don't know how to teach it. I was just doing it and I didn't know how to teach it. And then there's where you're at right now, where we do the things and we're getting the results. And then we have to, not pivot, but learn to lean into now we're capable of showing this to someone else and being, these are the results that if you do this daily action steps and doesn't be huge, it doesn't have to be momentous.
Nope.
The 1 year that I increased my business and I was with the company 8 years, so pretty streamlined. I was already at that time, a regional leader, and I increased my business by 148% that year. And that's when we had child number 6. I was on bed rest. I couldn't do things traditionally, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? But I knew I had to keep my business going. And so what I did, and tip for you guys here, we're almost done today, but I implemented what I call 2+2 calling. So literally from my bed, because back then we just had a phone. We did not have the internet and all the cool stuff that we have now. I implemented 2+2 calling for me and my team. And I just become a personality dimensions facilitator. So I thought, ooh, this is a cool tool. I'm going to bring this into my business and for my team. And that's all I did that year. So I was on bed rest 3 or 4 months before baby was born and another 5 to 6 weeks after. So literally 6 months of my life in bed. And so that's what I did, 2+2 calls.
Yeah.
I phoned 2 past clients and 2 current ones who were like hosting parties. So I kept up with parties, but kind of like over the phone. And then I took it one step further. And this is a key for those who want leadership, is that I added in a second, like a 2+2+2 call where I phoned 2 of my downline. Because at that time I had about 180 team members that I hadn't even met yet. So I thought, so I got to know them. And when I implemented that simple strategy, took 20 minutes a day, it increased my business by 148%.
And one of the things that Jody is saying, you guys, is 20 minutes a day, right? This actually, if you do certain things in an efficient way. So she did, do you hear what she did? Certain things, and she did them in an efficient way. Mm-hmm. And so if you do certain things in an efficient way, you don't have to work 5 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours a day on this business. There's no need for you to say, oh my gosh, I have to quit because my husband's so mad at me because I'm not taking care of the kids and I'm on my phone all day. If that's what you're saying to yourself, you're not doing certain things in an efficient way. So what I love to teach people is how to do the certain things
Yeah.
and in an efficient way, because then you really can build this in the pockets of your day. But if you're not doing it in a certain way, in an efficient way, then it's going to burn you out, and you're going to quit. Of course you are. Anybody would. So it's efficient and certain way. And you can hear that Jody did the same thing, right? This isn't rocket science.
Leaders who are in the top 1 to 2% of companies, they leave these beautiful breadcrumbs that we get to follow. You know, there's certain breadcrumbs that if you, and this is why I'm doing this podcast for you guys and getting to know all these wonderful people who love to share their story, share their experience. And you'll see the breadcrumbs are very, very similar with every single leader, which I love. And congratulations on being in the top 5 of your company for Canada. Woohoo! Us Canadians, we're going to be blowing it out.
Yeah, I got that postcard. It's over there. It's over there by my morning meditation area. I got that card and I had to do the rub my eyes, pinch myself.
Yep.
I took a screenshot. I messaged it to her. I said, "Is this for me?" I got my name, my husband's name, our address. I really couldn't believe it. I had no idea how we were tracking, because I'm not a really, I was tracking it personally, right? Yeah. And the other breadcrumb, you guys, that leaders will leave you is, I don't think you'll find one that doesn't have unshakable belief that they're going to make it.
Absolutely. And in fact, every single leader that I've talked to, because I always ask them, you know, and I'll ask you here in a second as well, you know, if you could step back to your older self when you first started this business, what would you have told, you know, your younger self, I guess? So you want to go back to when you started as an entrepreneur. What piece of advice would Sarah give younger Sarah to have a better belief system? So you go ahead.
Well, and I love this question. This question used to freak me out, because I would see this question. Sometimes you see it on Facebook and I'm like, I don't know. But really recently, I've realized this is going to be a corny answer, but I wouldn't give any advice. I wouldn't change a thing. So often we think when we're in it, and I'm in it right now in an area in my business, that things aren't happening fast enough for me or well enough for me. But very rarely do we go land where we want to land and look back and regret how we did it. So I look back at many areas in my life now that I've come to see, you got to not quit. You got to not quit. Mm-hmm. And younger Sarah, she didn't quit. So you're good. No advice for you. Maybe tighten your seatbelt up a little more. I don't know. If I look back at it all, literally, it's allowing me to be of better service to other women because of the wrong ways I did it. I am able to help more women with my story, including that one you pointed out, that it took 3 months for me to up my numbers. During that time, I had stabbing pains in my face because it wasn't happening fast enough. But now I get to be that woman who says, hey, it happened to me that way. And if I can do it, you can do it. And so I truly mean when I say nothing. I look back and I think, thank goodness it happened that way. And so that gives me strength when I'm in it right now. And I say, this isn't happening fast enough. And who could do that to me? And why is that happening? And we need more this and that. And I'm doing everything. And I can say, whoa, what does your past experience tell you? You're going to come through this because you're not going to quit. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to look back and you're going to say, I'm so glad it happened that way because now I can serve more people. So just chill out, sister, and just do the dang thing. It's going to shift.
Absolutely. So I love that. And Sarah's going to be doing some of this in a training for you guys. You'll see it posted on my page in my Facebook group. And I get to actually host a friend's Facebook group. I think she has about 32,000 lovely women in there that I get to host upcoming in December. And so your training will be ready for marketing then. So it'll take months. You know how this works. It takes a couple months for us to do the stuff and then market it out. And thank you so much for being here today. I've gotten to know you even a little bit better. And every time I meet with this lady, it's like we're soul sisters. Like it's just deep in there. And I think what's really cool is that it doesn't matter with what company you're with. People who are in the top 1% to 2% of current companies, and this is the movement that I'm instilling right now in people and interviewing these lovely ladies, is the fact that we can combine together to create something unique, and that it doesn't matter what company you're with, because first, it's a decision that you want to step up, that you want to level up. And then finding a community of like-minded women. We all just drive different buses or cars or whatever your means of travel, and that's your business. But really, the essence and the movement of women is no stronger than it is right now. And I predict in the next 18 to 26 months, I'm very specific with that, but in that time frame, leaders are going to be born. There are going to be shifts in right now. Women's movement is shifting. Huge shift in our country and our economy. And the women are the driving force behind it. So I'm so glad that you are here with us today and share a little bit more about you. And for those who if you want a quick look at, am I on the road to being in the top 1% to 2% of my current company? I have a quiz for you. I have a real fun quiz that you can take. It's going to be attached to this. It takes like a minute or two, and it just simply asks you that. Are you on the road to be in the top 1% to 2% of your current company? Take that quick quiz, and if I can help and assist you, if Sarah can help and assist you, we are leaders who are here for you. All right, so this is Jody Maley with the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series and my lovely guest, Sarah. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned a lot. Each one of my guests have a special and unique spot in my heart, as they have shared what they love about their business and how they truly have grown in their entrepreneur journey. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I would love to gift to you a fun and easy quiz that you can take right now that will help you assess how you feel about the sales process in your beautiful business. Building relationships, lifting each other up so we can all gain more in our lives and our business is what is truly important to me. And my hope is that in some small way, I've been able to do that for you today. So again, this is Jody Maley with the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series here in beautiful BC, Canada. Truly have a great and inspired rest of your day. The link to the quiz will be attached below, and please like, follow, and share this podcast if it inspired you.